I'm Lydia McClelland, Head of W5. In today's video, we're going to learn about the future of W5 and dealing with change.
Welcome to ProfileTree TV. I'm Michelle Connolly and we're here today at the Innovation Factory in the Springfield Road. We're with Lydia McClelland from W5, so it's going to be a real whirlwind, really interesting chat today, and I'll put it over to you, Lydia, let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, Michelle, I'm Lydia McClelland from W5. My background's in business development and marketing. I've just recently joined W5 in June of this year, June 2018, but before that I've held roles with the Ulster Orchestra, Ulster University, and within the local enterprise agency, Castlereagh Enterprises, so quite a mixed bag of background in terms of economic development, the arts and higher education sectors before joining a major visitor attraction here in Belfast.
So really interesting, you have such a wealth of experience coming into the background. So obviously W5 is slightly different to working maybe with the Ulster Orchestra. Have you found that transition difficult or?
So far so good. The key thing really for W5 and why my role was created was about creating sustainability for W5 for the longer run, to ensure that we're here to safeguard really the site of the site of the Odyssey, and the site of W5 is a science centre for the people of Northern Ireland. So my focus really is on the commercial development of W5 over the next number of years and securing its future.
And I know W5 is going to be going through a lot of changes. We've heard about money that's coming in, yes, and lots of things that are going to be, it's all going to be very exciting, and the area's being regenerated generally. So do you want to tell us maybe a bit about some of those changes? Maybe not all of them,
of course. Well, W5 itself, we're undergoing a £4.5 million refurbishment programme at the moment, and that money has come from the Welcome Trust as well as the Odyssey Trust as our parent company. So really over the next 18 months we'll see a lot of investment in W5, which will include the refurbishment really of two main exhibition floors on level 2 and level 4. So we're really excited about the refurbishment plans and then relaunching W5 all being well in June 2020.
That's excellent. And obviously there's been a lot of change in the organisation. How are you dealing with that? Because I know you have a big role there, and you have a lot of staff, and there's a lot of people that have to be maybe changing job roles or doing something that's slightly different, especially with this big massive refurbishment. So yes, how are you managing all these different job roles and personalities?
Of course, well, change management is a key part of the role as we go through not only our refurbishment but as we gear up for the future. So W5, we're part of the Odyssey Trust, which includes SSE Arena and Stenline Belfast Giants as well. So we're working towards integration across the site and working in cross-site teams. So change obviously brings with it lots of challenges but also lots of opportunities. So far so good. We found the process okay so far, in the sense that people are happy, people are up for the change and ready for something new. There's a lot of synergy really comes from working on a cross-site basis and with that larger team of the Arena and the Giants as well, which is very exciting for everybody.
So you actually work together in conjunction with the other organisations in the Odyssey?
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's really interesting. So there is a lot of synergy and a lot of, I suppose, excitement there and a lot of collaboration.
Yes, totally. And we're working, as a senior team, we're working together towards sort of business improvement and growth then across the site, and how we raise, all the business units then within the Odyssey complex.
That's really interesting. And just taking a wee step back, because I know that W5 is a registered charity.
That's right.
So how does that basically work in terms of, as you say, you're really trying to raise the bar, make sure that it's sustainable going forward?
Well, we are charitable with charitable aims and objectives in terms of the science, education and content that we have within W5, and that will continue. We just have to be commercial in our approach in the way that we work to ensure that sustainability for the longer run. So my little mantra is, I always say that we're profit making, not profit taking. So it is okay to make profits, but obviously all that profit or surplus to the business is reinvested back in for the future sustainability of W5, and to make sure we can continue to refurbish W5 as time goes on beyond our current refurbishment programme.
That's brilliant. And any tips, because I know I would speak to a lot of charities and social enterprises, and I think the idea is now that all these charities and social enterprises really want to move away from that idea of funding and being dependent on funding. Would you have any tips or ideas for social enterprises or charities that maybe want to become a little bit more sustainable, that really want to move away from that funding model? Because I know funding's very difficult to get and keep a hold of.
Of course it is, and I've been in that position in the past, obviously in previous roles. So certainly obviously having an entrepreneurial approach I think is very, very important. I always say think like a startup. So what would you do if you were in a startup position with your business? How would you develop and grow it? So we look at everything. We look at everything commercially, through a commercial lens, really, within the business, to see how we can make it profitable. So there's different areas in the business, like the retail shop. There's a coffee shop and other coffee areas across W5, that we run as commercial within the business, to support the sustainability of the business. So really, just say looking at it through a commercial lens, being entrepreneurial in your approach, and always thinking about how can we make money, and do things differently to make money and be a bit innovative in what we do. W5 maybe is a bit different to other charities in the fact that we haven't really had come out of like a kind of a donations or fundraising type culture. We focus on things like commercial sponsorship and I say the commercial areas of the business as well.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And in terms of innovation, because obviously you're at the centre of innovation, being in such, even for children, I think, there isn't really a lot out there, I think, across Ireland in terms of science and STEM and really, really encouraging that innovation. How are you developing that idea of actually passing that on to children through the visits that they have to the centre?
Yeah, well, through their experience, obviously, currently at W5 and the new W5, as we like to refer it to, certainly, in terms of the STEM education, the science, technology, engineering and maths, we like to think that we're kind of sparking the imagination of future generations. The current W5 very much attracts a family audience with a younger primary school market, and what we're hopeful is, as part of the new W5, that we will reposition W5 then to be a full family experience, so really everything from the baby in the pram right through to the older teenager with their parents coming for a day out. So hopefully through the new W5 and the new exhibits that we have in the new centre, then we'll encourage innovation as people come to visit us.
Yeah, and I think too, just the position you're in, you're at the forefront of innovation and what's new and what's happening in science and technology, and it's really giving children that experience that possibly they're not getting in other avenues, and really giving them that chance to explore, because everything's very hands-on, isn't it, in W5?
Definitely, and that's very much our ethos. It's not about reading interpretive panels on the wall and how you do things. It's about getting your hands dirty and getting stuck in, and that's what we hope to retain within the new W5, just with new exhibits, as well as some refurbished exhibits. So you will see some of your old favourites there as well. So we hope to be able to give the family that experience that day out. We do consider ourselves as kind of an informal education provider. So we're not, we're not like a primary school or a secondary school. So when you come to W5, it should be different from the formal learning environment that young people experience at school, and that's what we want to try and retain with the new W5.
Yeah, and just really, as you say, all that inquiry-based learning and that exploration and just getting your
Very much
hands
so,
in and getting a bit practical, because children love that, they really do. They love just getting in. I think they learn so much from actually just exploring. And just in terms of, here, I know you said about the family. I know you've been very innovative in your approach, and I know you sometimes introduce adult evenings in W5, so it's really interesting.
That's right. So we have, this year we've piloted W5 Late, which is an adults only event. We're now running those 3 times a year. Our next one coming up you'll find on the 16th of February as part of the Northern Ireland Science Festival. So these have been a great kind of event for W5, and certainly the audience that's come along have really, really enjoyed it. So it is positioned at the 18+ market, and we use the hashtag No Kids Allowed, and we do have bar facilities on every floor, which is great, so you can come along and have a fun night out. So what we found predominantly, it has been very much sort of the 18 to 35 market, and it tends to be those that want to kind of recapture their youth, having maybe grown up with W5 and school trips coming back in. So not only is it just access to W5, we curate content for the night as well, so there's lots of kind of added value content in terms of lecture theatre, talks, exhibits. We would bring in everything from face painters and music to create a bit of atmosphere on the night as well, so it's definitely an alternative night out.
Yeah, no, it just sounds so amazing, and as you say, opening up that centre to really reach out to different areas within the community. And I know you do a lot of community-based work as well, in terms of children that maybe are from slightly more disadvantaged backgrounds that need that support as well.
Yeah, so we've an education and outreach team as part of W5, and they deliver content not only in W5 in terms of workshops and schools coming in, but they're out and about doing school visits out on the road in the north and south of Ireland, delivering outreach to schools and community groups across Northern Ireland.
That's brilliant. And the big question, does tourism factor into your new strategy as well?
Well, it's in the current one and in the new one as well. So again, we're very fortunate that about 20% of our visitors would come from the Republic of Ireland at the moment, and about 4% then from GB, and the rest from from Northern Ireland, and we do have some out of state visitors as well. So certainly the tour, you know, in terms of linking into tourism NI, and the tourism strategy is key for us as we redevelop as well. And we can't ignore the vibrant tourist market here in Northern Ireland. So certainly we want to kind of ride on that wave of tourism and make the most of the family visitor to Northern Ireland.
And you're perfectly positioned down in the Titanic Quarter as well, where you would have the tourists going down there and really looking through going to the Titanic. And really there are, and we're seeing it too, a lot more families coming in. Before it was maybe couples and, you know, people coming in, you know, as couples or single people, but I think we're definitely starting to attract a more family sort of tourist market as well.
Indeed, and that's perfect. That's obviously perfect for us and for the rest of Titanic Quarter in terms of our neighbours in Titanic Belfast and HMS Caroline and the likes as well. So, you know, so it's great. We're right on the edge of Titanic Quarter, and certainly we'll be maximising that over the next couple of years as part of a tourism NI cluster, the Maritime Mile. So, we're looking forward to being part of that.
And in terms of the renovation, then, so you're going through two full floors are going to be totally renovated. So will that be exhibits or?
Yes, in terms of the main exhibition floors, then on level 2 and level 4, if you know W5, those will be totally refurbed. And we have other works going on as well in the building. Maybe not as exciting as the exhibition floors, but our lecture theatre space is going to be upgraded. We've done some other building works as well. So lots in the pipeline, and we'll be releasing that bit by bit as we kind of release the building back to the public. We will remain open during the refurb, but obviously part of the exhibition floors will be out of action, and we'll communicate that in due course.
Oh, so it's really, really exciting, because I know you do, and W5 in general attracts some really exciting exhibitions, because I know there's been a few in the past we've been to the dinosaur one. So how do you plan those in and build those into your?
That's right. Certainly seasonal events are obviously key for us, linked into the holiday time. So the likes of summer holidays, Halloween, Christmas, midterm break at February, and Easter are key times for us. So we have a schedule, a programme schedule of what we put in during those times. So the dinosaurs was our big exhibition over the summer months, and it was just fabulous. The dinosaurs were with us from the Natural History Museum from June until August, and we attracted over 107,000 visitors during that time, which was actually a record breaker for W5 in terms of the months of July and August kind of peak visitor numbers, which is amazing. So we have to come up with something now to top that, especially as we go through our refurb. But plans are afoot, certainly for Easter, at February time then for mid-term, and actually the whole month of February we will have the Earth art installation with us. So previously we ran one called The Moon, and we now have the Earth coming to us for the full month of February, so that's really exciting, and that's linked into the Northern Ireland Science Festival as well.
So no pressure at all then?
None at all.
to top those numbers. So obviously, you know, you've been brought in a role which is very business development and really, really thinking about bringing W5 forward and changing the demographics and really opening it up to the community. How important is business development for any business?
I think it's really important always to be future focused and do your horizon scanning. Obviously, you need to keep your eyes open and see what's happening out there, not only in terms of the local markets, but the national and international markets as well. So business development for me, again, my background's in business development and marketing, so it is key to always be looking for the next opportunity and exploring all opportunities. I always say no idea is too crazy, and for the team to certainly bring ideas to the table that we can explore them and look at them and either rule them in or rule them out as time goes on. So business development for us is key to the growth, not only of W5 but the whole site as a whole in terms of the arena and the Giants as well.
And in terms of, just actually you said a really key point there, that part of the team actually giving in to the strategy and being part of it, obviously that's really key. And how do you really get that buzz and get that, you know, where your team really do want to be part of it and are willing to, you know, give ideas and feed into that sort of strategy?
Well, we have a strategy, which is important. I think in the first instance we have a strategy laid down, a 3-year strategy for the Odyssey Trust as a whole, and clear action plans then for each of the business units. So the team are very much signed up to that. They know the direction of travel that we're heading in, and I think myself, you know, coming in new to the party as such in that new dynamic, and encouraging kind of open, honest conversations around the table with the team, and encouraging people not to be afraid to speak up or throw ideas onto the table then for us all to consider, because that's the only way we're going to get the business to move forward.
Yeah, and it's lovely because once you have that buy-in, I think, from the staff, it becomes a whole different process altogether.
Yeah, very much so. And as I mentioned earlier, we're working towards full site integration across the whole Odyssey site. So that's really exciting times just to have the synergy and different skill sets around the table from such a wide, diverse team, which is just amazing. Because you mightn't actually get that within a small business. So the fact we can pull upon wider skill sets is amazing, I think, for the whole trust.
Yeah, and why would you not when you've got it there on your
Yeah.
doorstep?
Totally.
Everybody's there, just get them all in the one room at the same time.
Very much
And
so.
obviously your background's marketing as well. What would you say the main differences between marketing and business development? Because I think sometimes people kind of roll them into one and they're possibly not the same thing.
Yeah, and you're right, they are very different skill sets. I suppose maybe in the roles that I've held to date, it's always been sort of a hybrid of the two, and I'm comfortable flitting between sort of business development and marketing. I always say, again, I have these little mantras, and I'm sure the team are sick listening to me about it, but I have a little mantras that in terms of a marketeer is only as good as the product they've got or they're given to market. So in terms of the business development team coming up with the opportunities or coming up with the new product ideas for the business, depending obviously on the nature of the business, then the marketing team's only as good as those ideas. But equally, that marketing team should have input into product development and new idea generation as well. And it shouldn't be that they're just given a product to sell on behalf of the business. They should be part of the idea generation and business development process.
And so you think that businesses, even small business, should have a business development strategy and a marketing strategy separate, but that have been developed.
Yes, there's definitely synergy between the two, and I don't think either should be done in isolation, because at the end of the day you can come up with what you think is maybe the best product in the world, but when you take it to market, then there's perhaps no market for it. So obviously the kind of market research is very important to make sure you have a market for that new product. So there's no point sales or market or business development teams coming up with product ideas if they haven't been properly market tested, and making sure that there is a demand for the product or service that you're about to launch.
And in terms of marketing, what sort of ideas and things are you thinking about in terms of marketing? Because you've got such a big, massive resource now that you're going to have by the time all these floors are populated. What's going to be your marketing strategy going forward? Because it's a big job.
Well, that'll be one for our marketing manager, but certainly I will input into it. So very much it's about the repositioning of W5 for the longer run, that it's not just the perception is that it's not just for the kiddie market as such in terms of the primary school market. So we have a big job to do, I think, in terms of making sure that people know that W5 is the science centre for the whole of Northern Ireland. But equally, we want visitors to come from far afield for a day out to W5. So repositioning W5 as a full family experience. But equally, that if you're here on holidays or you're a husband and wife or you want to come down for the day, you don't have to have children to come through the doors. So we shouldn't make people feel like that it's just for kids, and that it is a science centre for the whole of Northern Ireland and for people to enjoy.
No, and you're right. I think that is it. That it is that repositioning that it can be for anybody, because I know there are people who maybe don't have children but are just really into science and love all that hands-on, that practical stuff, and actually love to get their hands in with the kids and feel that they can't come when they don't have children. But you do like workshops and talks throughout the day in W5 as well, don't you? So they are brilliant for it. I mean, I've been to a few, and I was sitting there enthralled, never mind the children.
Yeah, definitely. So we do have, as you probably know, we have lecture theatre talks on during the day and demonstration shows on the floors as well. So our education team, in terms of the demonstrators and educators, then put on events during the day as well. So there's a lot of good content in there, and it doesn't matter what age you are. So from young to old, everybody should be able to enjoy W5. And as I say, not feel they have to rent a child to come along for a day out.
And in terms of, I know you work a lot in partnerships with other organisations, companies, do you see that as really invaluable as a way going forward?
Definitely, the concept obviously of partnership is key to us, and obviously will be key to our success for the longer run. Certainly the commercial sponsors that we work with, I very much see it as a partnership with that sponsor as opposed to just a pure sponsorship agreement. It has to work both ways. So yes, we'll be focusing a lot on that in the future in terms of new partnerships with a range of companies, hopefully across Northern Ireland.
And back to the good old idea of STEM, because it's just so hot at the minute in education, and everybody's talking about it and the importance of it. I mean, it's something that W5 has been doing
for 17 years, nearly 18 years, yes, since 2001. Yeah.
But it seems to be not new, but it's been pushed to the forefront of the curriculum. So a lot of the things that you would plan in W5, would you actually link into the curriculum and think in terms of what primary school children are doing? I know you do the outreach and the workshops, but the actual experiments and practical hands-on stuff, would that be connected to the...
Very much so. So our education team are obviously well versed in all things education, and obviously would be aware of the curriculum in terms of Key Stage 1 right through to Key Stage 4 in terms of what they're delivering, and make sure it's relevant obviously for young people coming down. As I say, not that we're a formal education provider, but they're getting that informal education experience on top of their curriculum then that's being delivered at school. So very much so we're in that education space.
So it's great to see. So you've so many services that I didn't know about. You've got the outreach they're going out to schools, and what do they do? Is it deliver workshops?
Workshops then on a range of themes or topics. Sometimes we might have a sponsor on board with us, and we've developed an education workshop around the sponsorship package as well. So it just depends what the school needs or wants, and what we can obviously offer them. Then we make sure it's tailored to suit their needs.
And it's great you have that flexibility, because you do have the experience and the wealth of staff and the expertise there to really, as you say, sort of personalise those workshops for schools, which is a massive resource to be able to have.
Definitely, we have a very, very experienced and very passionate team, which is brilliant. So they're just brilliant whenever whenever they're on show as such, in terms of us doing their demonstrations or doing their workshops. They really are a fabulous team.
Yeah, and I think too, as you say, just in terms of actually be able to go out to schools, that raises the profile, I think, of W5 as well, to really let people know that you're here and that you're able to do all these wonderful shows and events and exhibitions as well. So I'm sure that's part of your marketing strategy as well, as really just getting the name of W5 out there. I'm going back a few steps, but I'm really interested in how you come from being maybe your previous job roles have all been very creative. But
yeah, I would say that I'm not creative in any shape or form, but I've always worked in kind of creative type roles. So I suppose starting out life in economic development and with the local enterprise agency, through to then the Ulster Orchestra, which is obviously fabulous in terms of an orchestra, and I don't have a note in my head whatsoever, because people think that I used to play music, not in any shape or form, and then through to the university as well. So yes, there's always been an element of creativity needed, I suppose, to deliver the roles. I don't consider myself to be a creative person at all, but I suppose there's a bit of creativity, there's maybe a bit of creativity in there, especially if you're maybe developing programs for European funding and developing concepts and ideas, and whatever, you need to have that creative flair and creative approach to deliver. And it's the same at W5. Very much there's a lot of similarity between I feel my role certainly with W5 and the Ulster Orchestra, in terms of even just how the businesses run and operate and what's needed to grow and develop them.
And it's really interesting just to see those different synergies where you kind of never think that W5 and the Ulster Orchestra would be similar in any way, but actually, as you say, they are. And I know, obviously, coming from the university, from an education background, but slightly different coming from education or university level, right down to you maybe have the littlest, little nursery children coming in. So it must be just amazing how how do you personally deal with that change and those challenges that are coming at you all the time?
Yeah, well, certainly one thing I think I've reflected on recently is the fact that I love learning new businesses. So I get a real buzz out of learning how a new business operates, and I suppose the job at W5 is nearly threefold, because I'm not only learning about W5, I'm learning about the giants, and also learning about the arena and the operations and just how the businesses function. So I really do enjoy understanding how businesses run and operate, and just the kind of mechanics behind the whole thing, which is fabulous. So that kind of keeps me going, learning something new every day.
Because it's not always easy when you go from one job role into another, which is so different. And I know there's obviously elements of every job role that you've been through that are underpinned, but just as you say, you're coming into it's a completely different maybe market, and a completely every direction there's different new things happening, which is just amazing. So I know the Odyssey in general has been really regenerated, and there's a lot of space available there. So I know, is W5 going to maybe work with some of that additional space? Or
yes, well, we have taken over what used to be the beach club, so we have about 25,000 square feet of extra space at our disposal, which we hope to use to develop the STEM proposition in Northern Ireland, and that's very much work in progress at the moment, so all will be revealed in due course.
Oh, that's very exciting. And just in terms of competition, because it always really interests me that STEM is so hot and there's so many things in the curriculum and everybody's towards it. Is there much competition, in Northern Ireland, in Ireland, for similar? I mean, I don't know of any.
Yeah,
but
well, in terms of a visitor attraction, I do say we are the Northern Ireland's only science and discovery centre. So in terms of an actual physical location, obviously you do have other people out there delivering STEM workshops, which is great. So we're all, we're supportive of kind of growing the STEM space, and obviously getting more kids involved in STEM activities. So there are other kind of smaller level providers out there delivering STEM workshops, perhaps in schools, maybe on behalf of enterprise agencies and the like that we're aware of. But we encourage that. It's brilliant to see that others are doing similar stuff to us ourselves, because there's plenty of room in the marketplace.
Yeah, but I don't even, as you're right, I don't even think across Ireland there doesn't seem to be any other massive centres that are really doing what you do. So it's great to see that in Northern Ireland we have one of the only one of them, which doesn't always happen, because, as you say, the competition's usually out there and able to catch up. But W5 has just been so part of the landscape of Belfast for a long time, hasn't it?
Very much so, and it's grown, like, obviously I'm only in post 6 months, but it has grown from strength to strength, certainly since it opened in 2001, and our visitor numbers are increasing year on year. So currently we have about 285, that we're on a target for 285,000 visitors this year, which is just phenomenal. So we hope that will grow from strength to strength, and especially as we redevelop the centre and fully reopen in June 2020, that we can grow our visitor numbers even further.
No, that's brilliant. So, Lydia, the important thing, if someone wants to come to W5 or find out more information, what's the best way to get in contact? Is it through the website or?
Yes, certainly through our website. So that's just www.w5online.co.uk. Certainly, in terms of anybody wants to get in contact with me, they can do that through the website or through LinkedIn. My profile's there on LinkedIn as well. So,
January time, any exciting events or exhibitions that we should be getting into our diaries or getting tickets booked for?
Definitely. So on the 10th of January we will be launching MedLab, Medical Laboratory, which is the first phase of our redevelopment project, and that's in partnership with Almac. So it's a whole new exhibition area. It is a permanent exhibition to W5 on level 1. So it opens on the 10th of January to the public. So we'd love to see you down there.
That sounds very exciting. So is it going to be medical based, of course?
Medical based, so a whole range of medical hands-on exhibits for young and old to play with, and certainly lots of learning coming out of it.
Yeah, so all those budding doctors, nurses and everything else, they'll be down there doing some operations and surgery.
Very much so, you'll have the chance to do that.
Well, that's all from us today at ProfileTree, the content marketing agency. It's been really, really interesting. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.